There's so many different ways to generate leads for your business, but this simple lead magnet funnel that I'm going to walk through on this video, which you can go and steal for yourself, is perfect for almost any business. This exact funnel is what I've used for one of my clients, and they've generated over $200,000 just from using this. So in this video, I'm going to walk through how to actually set it up and how to actually go and deliver the lead magnet itself. So with that being said, let's get into it. So there are different types of lead magnets, and what we're going to be walking through in this video is actually how to do this lead magnet, which is a one step of a multi-step process. So if you don't know what a lead magnet is, it's essentially something that you give away for free or at a really small cost to someone to go and acquire their lead information, such as their email address, for example. So there's also different types of lead magnets. So you can do problem revealing lead magnets like an assessment or a quiz. You can do a free trial or a free sample, like when you walk through Costco and you get a piece of chicken on a stick and then you taste it. That's a free trial or a free sample, and then you end up buying the whole pack of chicken or whatever it is. A classic example for this one would be a 2-week free trial, but for this one in particular, I really do like this one, which is a one step of a multi-step process. So essentially, you've got to break your business up into parts and steps and phases in terms of how you actually take someone from point A to point B, and all you're going to be doing with this lead magnet is to basically highlight one key narrow problem and go and solve it for someone, and then once you solve that problem, it reveals the next problem, which is like all of the other phases that you help people with your product or service. So you're basically going to identify this one key step, which could be a free training, which is what we're going to walk through in this video, and how to set up a free training lead magnet funnel, and then that is going to help you upsell people into your core service. So we're going to go through how to actually go and deliver the lead magnet, but essentially this lead magnet funnel is as simple as this. So basically, this is the flow. So you've got your traffic, so you need to actually go and direct people over to this lead magnet that you've created. So this one singular step of a multi-step process. So you've got your cold outreach, your content, and your paid ads. And then you deliver the lead magnet. So in this case, it's going to be a video training, just a free video training. It might be 15 minutes all the way up to an hour. Typically, it's around sort of 30 to 40 minutes. And then you're going to have your conversion mechanisms, which is going to be your thank you page or your email flows. And I'm going to get into this. I'm going to explain how this all works. But on the thank you page, you're going to have a VSL, so a video sales letter, to actually go and sell people into your core offer. So to go and book a call. And you're also going to add those leads who have signed up to the lead magnet. You're going to send them emails, basically. Again, we're going to walk through this, and then you're going to sell them by email into your core offer. So what you actually need for this, you obviously need traffic, and I'm going to touch on this briefly about how to actually get traffic to the lead magnet. You need a landing page, and then you need a pre-recorded video or a series of videos, and then you need your email flow set up, and then you need to record your VSL, and then you need to have a calendar booking page. So I know that was a lot to digest, but I just want to show some. So I'm going to go into like some examples, like my examples, and actually go through a breakdown. But for example, people get caught up in this stage of the process because they just simply don't have any traffic to actually go and direct people over to the lead magnet, and this is where people get caught up. So essentially, I'm going to break down what I've done for one of my new lead magnets, which is basically driving traffic via YouTube over to a video training. So basically what I'm doing is my traffic source is YouTube. So essentially we need eyeballs, and then I'm driving people over to a free training, which is how to generate leads on LinkedIn. And then basically I have a thank you page, and then I have a VSL, so video sales letter, and then promoting my core offer. And then I also send people email flows, so emails to actually get them signed up. So how this actually looks like, just as an example, just to show you. So basically I've got my YouTube videos, and then I have one of my new lead magnets is how to book sales meetings with dream clients on LinkedIn. Now, once people go onto this page, all I'm asking for is someone's name and their email address. I'm not asking for anything else. People call this like a squeeze page. I call this a landing page, whatever you want to call it. But essentially what we're doing is capturing their information, and then in return, they get my free training on how to actually generate leads on LinkedIn. Now, this is quite extensive because I've got multiple videos, and for my client in particular, who I was saying that I've generated over $200,000 in sales for, they do not have multiple videos. They actually run live webinars as well. So you can have this live, or you can have this a pre-recorded video. It doesn't matter. There is pros and cons to both, but in my example, mine's like an on-demand webinar. It's not even a webinar, it's just a video training, but it's pretty extensive. So essentially, once we've captured their information, all we do is we send them an email with a link to go and access the training. So, we need to actually give someone value. And then what we have in the yellow here, which is my email flows. So essentially, I've got like my confirmation email, and then I send them a couple of emails which are packed with value. And then ultimately, what I want people to do is actually go and book a call with me, so I can then promote my core offer and like pitch my core offer essentially. But that doesn't happen all the time. It's not just going to be as linear as YouTube, download the lead magnet, watch the free training, and then book a sales call. So what most people don't do is they do not have anything after you've captured their information. So for example, when someone puts their information in here, you should be directing people over to somewhat of a thank you page where we're saying, look, check your email because you're going to get the free training in there. Obviously, I want people to actually see and implement the free training. But what we're doing now is we've solved that key problem for them. But if someone just wants to me to actually go and solve their core problem, which is my core offer, then there is a VSL here, there's a video sales letter here, just basically explaining how I can help you go and generate more leads for your business. So essentially, there are going to be a certain amount of people who get this free training and then actually go and watch my video sales letter. And then from there, once they have actually booked a call with me, if they do want to actually go and book a call with me, then there is a confirmation page, but that's almost like a bonus. So essentially, it's just split up into these key phases. So all you've got to do is promote the lead magnet, you capture the leads, you deliver the lead magnet, so you can deliver it via email or whatever your sort of mechanism is. Then you have a thank you page, which is most people do not do this. Most people just capture the leads and then they sort of like wait for the leads to actually come to them and say like, oh, that's great. But the likelihood is people are just not aware of you. Then they're going to receive the lead magnet and then maybe have forgotten about it like a day after. You wouldn't believe the amount of people who access lead magnets and then don't even look at it or whatever it is. So what you want to do is have this thank you page here, which is promoting your core offer straight away. And then you give people an option to book a call, and then you would have a confirmation page. Obviously, that's just sort of, a top line view of like how this would actually work. But I just want to show you another example in terms of if you don't want to use content to actually go and promote your lead magnet. So there's different ways to do it. And for my client in particular, for one of my clients, what we do is we promote a lead magnet via cold outreach. So basically, we have the target market, and we use cold email and LinkedIn to basically drive people over to a landing page, similar to something like this, to see if they want to sign up to a webinar. So what we do is we basically reach out to them via cold email, and it's a lot more of a soft pitch when you're reaching out to people on cold email saying like, hey, do you want this free thing? And this free thing has to actually be valuable. So I didn't mention before, but when you're actually going to create a lead magnet, whether it's one of these three types, the lead magnet is pretty much got to be something of around sort of $50 to $100 of value. So like, you got to ask yourself, like, if you create one of these lead magnets, like, would you actually pay $50, or would one of your friends or your colleagues or whatever it is pay you $50 to $100 for this lead magnet? If you wouldn't pay $50 for it, it's a terrible lead magnet. You need to go and redo it basically. So again, just going back to here, so we have cold email, we have LinkedIn DMs, and we basically say, do you want to sign up for this webinar? We get people signed up, and then once they actually sign up, obviously they're going to be able to go and watch the webinar. We have a thank you page, and then once they've given us their contact information, we show them the thank you page, and then we direct people over to a sign up section here, which basically says like, do you want this core offering? Do you want us to go and do it for yourself? And then they have the opportunity to go and book a call. In tandem with that as well, so it doesn't always go like this. So it doesn't always just go, down from the cold email, they sign up to the webinar, and then they go to the VSL, and then they actually go and book a call. Ideally, obviously, this would happen. But what a lot of the time, what you're going to have to do is you basically send people a cold email, and then they sign up to the training. They give you your contact information, and then you have a series of email flows that actually happen as soon as they've inserted their email. So for example, you might have a 5-day email sequence that says, thanks for submitting your information to go and watch the webinar, and then you might give them a little bit more value, and then you might actually soft pitch your core offer, and then you might actually soft pitch your core offer again, obviously still giving value, and ultimately we want people to actually go and book a call with us over here. And the key thing here as well is your email flows are completely different to adding people to a newsletter. That is not the same thing, right? So for example, you can pick up so many leads from doing this, by the way. Like this is battle tested, tried and tested. And if you've actually gone and signed up to someone's lead magnet and they've got a good setup, this is what happens. So for example, it doesn't matter about the traffic source for now, but once you've actually submitted your information and you've gone on to access the video training or the free webinar, for example, you'll probably get hit with a series of email flows. But what good marketers do is they actually add you to a email newsletter, so then they can like broadcast and send emails like intermittently about their offers and maybe like giving value. So you're not just basically hoping for people to like go and book a call directly with you. You've then got them on your email newsletter. Now you've actually paid to acquire that lead. So for example, you've paid with your time if you're doing cold outreach, but if you're running paid ads, you want to utilize those leads that you've bought. So if you're getting a $1 cost per lead and you're spending $1,000 a month on ads, and so that means you will have generated 1,000 leads that are on your newsletter, and then from your newsletter, then you can start promoting your core offer. So you see how there's like lots of different, I know this is like kind of confusing, I'll get rid of all the lines, but you see how there's loads of different ways to get people into your core offer. And that's the whole reason why we actually go and do lead magnets, right? Is to actually get people signed up for your core offer, because not everyone is actually going to be in the market and ready to go and buy your product or service. Only 3% of the market are actually ready to go and buy your product or service. So you need to figure out a way of actually capturing those leads and then pushing them further and further down the funnel. Now, a lead magnet is typically middle of funnel. So, they are already aware of you, because top of funnel is your cold outreach, or top of funnel is your content or your paid ads. Now, once they've actually agreed and they've given you their information, they're sort of in the middle of funnel because they've received the video training, and then your email newsletter and your email flows and your video sales letter is more so bottom of the funnel, because we're pushing people to actually go and book a call, for example. So what I want to do is just go through a example of how you can actually go and create and like deliver this type of lead magnet. So let's say you are a content marketing agency. So you basically create content for other businesses to help them with their business and grow their business. So in this case, we're going to be a content marketing agency who actually target startups. So you're a content marketing agency, you do things like branding, you do things like YouTube videos, you do things like LinkedIn posts, like anything content, blogs, anything like that. You help startups in the US, who those startups actually have like small to medium sized businesses, like that's their client base, like that's who they target. So let's say you're a content marketing agency and you're trying to target startups. Now, so what we need to do now is actually think about, in terms of creating and delivering a lead magnet, like what are we going to do? So we're going to use this one step of a multi-step process lead magnet funnel, and then we're going to use the information as the delivery format. So what that actually means is we're basically going to cherry pick one core problem, and we're going to help someone solve that one core problem that then opens up a new can of worms, and basically someone will receive that information, and then they're more likely to hire the content marketing agency, because they're like, Jesus, there's so many different moving parts to this, not just this core problem. And what we're going to do is actually deliver it to them via information. So we're going to record a pre-recorded video, so someone has to give them, the content marketing agency, their email address to actually go and get the free training. So the content marketing agency targeting startups. Now, the pains for the startups are we do not get enough qualified demos. So we don't get enough qualified demos, therefore their monthly recurring revenue is low. So if you know anything about startups, like, especially software startups, their monthly recurring revenue is the main thing that they look at. And, what they need to do to actually go and do that, if they're a B2B startup, they need to have qualified demos booked in. So they're not getting enough qualified demos. So it's basically a sales call. So their narrow problem is the lead conversion. So if we go over to the multi-step process, all we're going to be doing is delivering some sort of information and then solving this key step here, which is lead conversion. And there is so many moving parts and so many different parts of a content marketing agency and what they actually do on a day-to-day basis. So there's things like positioning, like looking at your ICP, there's actual content strategy, there's content creation, there's distribution, like how to actually deliver the content. Like, are we going to be doing emails? Are we going to be doing blogs? Are we going to be doing LinkedIn posts, YouTube, whatever? Lead nurture, like your email flows and things like that. Lead conversion, and then retention. So all we're doing with this lead magnet is basically solving this one core problem. And this is one step of a multi-step process. So we're literally solving this problem. And then once we help them solve their lead conversion problem, then it's going to open up all these different kind of worms for all these different things. And then they're going to be like, well, okay, you're an expert in content marketing. Let me hire you for your services. So I've come up with an idea in terms of a lead magnet idea. So I think in terms of their pains, they're not getting enough qualified demos. So a lead magnet idea could literally be how to create content that generates sales demos, 30-day plan for startups. So I think that's quite desirable for if you're a founder of a startup company, or like you're the senior marketing director of a startup company who is in the sort of B2B SaaS space. They're looking at actually trying to generate as many demos as humanly possible because their monthly recurring revenue is too low. So how about we actually come to them and say, look, we can create content that actually generates sales demos, and all you'll be receiving is a 30-day plan. So that's pretty desirable. It's going to be actionable. They can look at this and probably start to implement things within the first 24 hours. And yes, I would probably pay $50 for that. Obviously, the landing page will have to do some selling about that. And how we're actually going to go and deliver this is a video training. So it's literally, you really don't have to complicate this. Like, it is just a case of basically recording yourself going over how to create content that generates sales demos and a 30-day plan for the actual ICP, which is a startup. And then what we're going to do is actually touch on the conversion mechanism. But let's go over like how this would actually work, because people really do get caught up in actually creating a lead magnet and they think it's going to take too long and whatever. But the key thing is, would someone pay $50 for it, and is it actually valuable, and can they actually implement what you're actually teaching them within 24 hours? So like, we need to give people quick wins here. So for example, what I've done is, in terms of what you could do, you have you want to be presenting this in a video. So you've got your title, which is how to create content that generates sales demos. Now what you could do is basically have a short slide deck that can probably last between sort of 30 and 40 minutes to basically go over the introduction, what we'll cover, why we're covering it, how we're actually going to go and do it. Here's some examples. And then the key thing here is the 30-day execution plan. So you're actually going to give someone like tangible assets. Maybe it's a template, maybe it's a swipe file of something that they can go and use and customize for their business. And then a bonus for this would be something like an AI assistant. So you might create like a custom GPT or whatever, because people are creating such terrible lead magnets, like shitty PDFs, or like, something that someone is just, they're going to give their email address, you receive some shitty PDF, and then you're going to resent that company. You're going to hate that company almost, because you've basically given your email address, which are precious these days, and you're going to come across as a novice if you've just given over a terrible PDF. So what I'm suggesting, and what we do a lot of the time, is you have some sort of presentation that solves a very small, narrow problem for your ideal customers, and they can actually execute on this. And then once you've got all the way through all of these slides, at the very last slide, you're going to pitch your core offer. So pitching your core offer basically ties into the fact that you've basically, at the end of the presentation, you've solved this one key step for them of a multi-step process. So once you've actually solved this one step, then you're going to explain, well, hey, actually, this is only just one part of the content marketing funnel that we would be able to go and create for you. But if you want us to actually go and help with your positioning, your content strategy, your content creation, distribution, lead nurture, lead conversion, and retention, then book a call with us and we'll be able to put a action plan in place for you and see if we'd be the right fit, something along those lines. So it can be as simple as basically creating some slides, go onto Loom, record yourself going over the slides, and if you don't want to show your face, just don't show your face on the camera. But you would have a voiceover and you actually going through and explaining this. But the key thing here is to give value. So you want these assets and you want someone to actually engage with your lead magnet. It's not something that they're just going to forget about. So then you're positioned as the expert. So the key thing here is like, why do we even go through all of this effort to go and create this sort of landing page here, and then to capture someone's information, create all the emails, and then all of the videos here? So the main reason that I think of personally is like, you need to show that you're an expert in the field of what you do. So it's not necessarily that someone is actually going to go and implement all of this stuff and go and implement this sort of 30-day execution plan, but they just generally, from what I've seen anyway, they just want to see that you can do what you say you're going to do for their business with your core offer. So like, are you an expert? Can you actually do this for me? And are you going to fuck it up if I actually go and hire you, for example? Because for example, if you're hiring like if you're reaching out to like larger businesses, it might not be the founder who you're actually reaching out to, or like the director or the CEO. It might be the marketing manager. So if you can explain that to the marketing manager that you can actually that you're an expert and you can actually go and deliver a core piece of value, then it's going to be saying then they're going to be thinking in their head, well, okay, well, if we actually go and hire this person and they do a good job, it's going to make me look good. But conversely, if you fuck it up and you do a bad job, and there was no due diligence from that marketing manager is likely to get fired, or like worst case scenario, they get fired and they can't like feed their kids or whatever. So you've got to really think about like, this lead magnet has to be super valuable in terms of how you can present yourself in terms of being an expert. So a webinar, so like an on-demand webinar or a free training or whatever, like something like that of like 40 minutes of you sort of building up that trust between you and the prospect works extremely well for this if you do it well, and it works time and time again. And especially with the day and age that we're in now, like watching someone and interacting with their face, building that trust before you actually have that sales call is key here as well. So this is why we create the lead magnets. And then just to touch on lastly, like with the conversion mechanism. So let's say you've built your landing page and then you've got the information. So you've given them the video, you've captured the leads. Now with the conversion mechanism, what you want to do is basically have another page. So similar to this, have another page to basically pitch your core offer. So this could be a 5 to 15 to 20 minute video sales letter, a very quick video, again, pretty much just going over some slides on how you can actually go and help them with the core offer, which would be, do you want us to go and deliver your full content marketing system for your business to go and generate leads for your startup? So it can be as simple as that. And then obviously you want to have a couple of email flows. So once you actually capture the leads and you capture their information, you have a series of emails packed with value, packed with call to actions, soft call to actions, by the way, in my opinion, to then drive people over to your book a call. And then what you want to do as well as a bonus is to add people to your email newsletter, so then you can retarget these at a later stage. Hopefully that all makes sense. And if you want some help and support with your lead generation and you want me to go and help you with it, click the link in the description and it will be able to explain how I might be able to help you. If not, no worries. I will see you on the next one. Peace.